Hello. All right, I think we are a go. I am here doing a talk about tumbling, stretching, and conditioning. I'm gonna stand over here. I think you guys can still hear me. So tumbling, stretching, and conditioning. Got to get limber. Got to be able to move around and be able to hit all the shapes and all the lines that you need to hit. And stretching is a huge part of that. So we're just gonna go ahead and start right now. Make sure and comment about things that you want to hear in these upcoming videos, and we can make sure and talk about those. So first things first, just stretch. Just get yourself moving. Reach down to the ground. Make sure you can find your toes. That's a big one. Turn your body down to one side. And ideally, everything that you're really stretching that you want to get a little more flexible in, you want to hold for about 20 seconds. So we're just going to go ahead and do that right now. Find a spot to sit, arms up, turn, actually look down your leg, and then reach down over your foot. I can see a comment, but I'm too far away. And again, 20 seconds, so we'll call it 10 already. We'll go for another 10. Three, two, one, and back up. Turn, look down your leg. It's a great day. Not a bad day to be stuck. All right, we'll call that 20. Back up, out in the middle. Make sure you're breathing a lot. It's gonna help loosen up your muscles, get you ready to stretch. Awesome. All right, pikes. Legs are together. Stand up really tall. Arms go even higher. And then you're gonna fold right at your midline right here. Try to make it take a long time. Try to really stretch all the way out. Get your hands on your feet. If you can't reach all the way to your feet, that's all right. Put them on your legs right here. Try to grab your ankles. You can drop your arms down to the ground. That helps too. We're gonna go down as far as we can for another 10 seconds. Awesome. All right, butterfly. Knees on the outside, feet together. Just try to press those hips down. Hold this, we'll hold this for about 10. And then we're gonna put our hands on our ankles. Press your knees down, get your head down. Keep breathing. Awesome. All right. Time to stretch those hip flexors. Big step out in front. We'll do a right leg first. What you want to make sure you're doing is rotating your hips under and keeping your line straight and pushing forward into your hips. You don't want your knee to go past your foot. I'm going to keep that at a right angle. Keep your hips rolled under. I do these for about 10 seconds. And then I back up, straight leg, same idea, about 10 seconds, arms are up. Go reach your hands down to your feet, put your nose close to your knee. And then keeping your back leg straight, you want to just slide out as far as you can, keeping your hands on either side. As far down as it feels all right. You can practice picking your hands up and holding. We're gonna hold this for 20 seconds because we really want to get some improvement on our split. Awesome. Throw that leg in the back, pushing. Good seal stretch. And switch what leg is in front. Again, focus on this is to keep your hips rolled under. Keep Keep your line straight. Make sure your knee doesn't go past your foot. And you're pushing forward. You should feel the stretch in the back leg that's back here. Awesome. Straight leg. Arms up. Hands go to the foot. Nose goes to your knee. And then slide it out. Awesome. Another seal stretch. And we'll hop into our middle split. This one's easy, right? I wish it was easy. Keep walking those feet out. Arms are out. Try to get your hands down to the floor. This is all you got? That's good. Hang out right here. If you can, try to get down to your elbows. And obviously just keep letting those feet slide out to the side. Hold for another 10. Awesome. All right. Wrists and ankles, super important that those are warmed up. They get a lot of use. We gotta make sure that we're strong in those areas. So just do a few wrist rolls. Make sure I've got all the range of motion I need in my wrists. This is a really good one. Here's another one. Grab your hand. Push it out just like that. You should feel the tension in your forearm. Awesome. Other hand. Grab. Right. Roll them out. It's another really good one. Face both the palms away from you. Put them down on the floor. You're gonna lean back. Let those arms stretch. Flip them. All right, another one of my favorites. Open your hands really big. Put your fingers as far apart from each other as you can, and then big circles around your wrists. Should stretch all of those outside parts of your wrist that you missed just doing linear stretches, and around the other way. All right, super easy one. Basically just give your arm a hug. Reach across yourself, pull in. This is a funny one. A lot of people get tripped up on it. Not sure why. But yeah, you want your arm to go across your body. And big pull in, switch. Arm goes across, pull. You should be reaching off to the side. Right, I usually follow that up with going behind my head. You should feel this stretch on the outside of your arm here. I kind of push down on my elbow, try to reach my hand farther down my back. And same on the other side. Grab that elbow, kind of pull and push down, reaching down your back with the other hand. Another good one, same idea. Try to lock your hands behind your back, holding just like that. And switch. All right, so we're almost ready. A little bit of head to the side, ear to shoulder action, switch, head back, head down. All right, so now that we're ready, we're gonna talk about the action that you need. What's up, Allie? Talking about the action that you need that happens in a round off. It's the same action that you need to have happen in a back handspring. And the steps to get you to where you're even working on those things are pretty straightforward. And you might already know what I'm about to say, but the first thing we're always gonna do is a lunge. And a lunge is a specific shape. You gotta know what you're looking for. You want both of your feet to point forward. You want your front leg to be bent here at the knee. You want your body to lean forward and your arms to be reaching up around your head. Once you've gotten this, you have all of these things checked off, you want to push forward into your lever, if you know what that is. That is just balancing from your lunge forward into that T shape. And it's harder than you think. You want to keep your knee bent. You want to keep your weight going through your foot in a way that you can balance. So again, you're going to hit that lunge, lean forward into lever. Try and see if you can hold that for 5 seconds. It might be hard, you might fall, but try again. I think that was 5. Another thing about that is you want to make sure your leg is lifting back. I see this sometimes, that's not the full shape. You got to get your hip up and reach through like that. All right, so the next step from there, there's obviously a few moves that you can do. One of them that you need for a round off is to be able to go from your lever into a quarter turn. That one's a little bit even harder to balance in, so give it a try, and then we're gonna move on to something else and we'll go back to that. But hit your lunge, lever, get a good balance, make sure your leg's lifting, and turn. And it's kind of tricky, but give it a try. Super fun, super beneficial for your round off shape. So, to connect the dots, if you are not kicking a cartwheel over yet, you can start with super simple steps. This first thing, lunge. Next thing, lever. Next thing you're gonna do is just get your hands on the ground. Because from here, you can do a small hop. It's not risking falling over on your back or doing anything that you don't wanna have happen. Just getting used to shifting your weight onto your hands. From that, you start to kick a little bit higher. And this is pretty much just like a safety handstand. We call it a seesaw kick. And what you're gonna do is keep the foot that's in front sticking out so that whenever you kick up, you have that leg there that's kind of pulling you back to the ground, making sure that you don't fall over on your back, which if you do fall on your back, it's okay. Life's about learning, especially with flips. You don't get anything right or perfect the first time. But yeah, so let's do about 5 of those. Lunge, lever, kick, and keep that foot out so that it's easy to come back down, and make sure you're pushing through your wrists when you're standing back up. We're gonna get into that with our round off, but that push through your wrists is super important. So I probably only did like 3 of those. Let's get another few. Keeping that leg out, pushing through your wrists when you stand up. You might have seen me walk a little bit on my hands. I tell my athletes, at least, I would rather see that and see them find their balance than to not kick up all the way or to kick up too far and fall over. The whole thing is it's a handstand. So you're trying to stand on your hands and be balanced. So find that spot. When you do find it, it's actually amazingly easy. Everything's lined up and you're just doing it perfectly. You're like, wow, oh my gosh, I'm still up here. So, from there, next step to connect the dots to getting that cartwheel that can turn into a round off that then lets you have fun doing all the tumbling stuff is going to be a seesaw, which is that safety handstand, switch kick. So all you're going to do is change which leg is where. You're going to start from how we were, lunge, lever, kick up, switch legs, land on the other side. When you can get comfortable landing in your opposite lunge, started here, finished here. When you get used to that, it's going to make a lot more sense to do it on the other side to complete that cartwheel. So we're going to take what we just did, lunge, lever, kick to a seesaw, push through your wrists. We're going to take that other thing we started with, which is lunge, lever, and open. When you put those things together with your switch kick, which is what we just did a second ago, where we're changing our legs, it turns into a cartwheel really easily. We're way faster than you might have thought. So we're gonna go through that right now. Lunge, lever, we're turning, and we're gonna push off and switch kick. Push through your wrists. The reason I'm going over pushing through your wrists so much is it's kind of like jumping. If I was gonna jump and I wanted to jump as high as I could, I'd wanna make sure that my feet press through the ground all the way through my toes. My toes are the last thing to push through the ground. If I don't do that, I'm jumping through my heels and I'm not getting as high off the ground. So the same idea, pushing through your toes to go higher, applies to your hands when you're trying to push away from the ground. It's not just something you do through the palms of your hands, it's something you push through your fingertips. So one more time, lunge, lever, turn, over, switch kick, push through your wrists. Now, just like with anything, there's a pattern, there's a window of time where if you do what you need to do then, it's gonna work better than at any other time in the cartwheel or in the round off. For example, when I'm pushing through my wrist to stand up, if I did that right away, it wouldn't work as well because I'm not ready to stand up yet. So finding the right time, waiting for right now, is gonna give me a better return on standing back up. And that'll go into our round off, where you might have heard about blocking or flicking or snapping, which is both of your feet kicking forward. And blocking and flicking and snapping all work together to make a really good round off. But if you're trying to do any of those things at the wrong time, like I was saying, there's a window of opportunity where when you do it then, it works the best. So we're gonna find that window and hopefully get your round off to be having a little bit better turnover, because like I was saying in the beginning, your round off and your back handspring are super similar. They have a lot of the same qualities. Mainly the flick of the wrist, the blocking of your shoulders, and snapping both of your feet through. So I'm gonna do a round off really quick and show you timing is everything. Waiting for the right moment to push and flick is really gonna help you get your good turnover, and you wanna wait till your legs are past this center line. If I try to push right here, my weight is just all off. We wanna be working with gravity. So as your legs are on their way down, give a big push, squeeze everything and pull through your feet, and you should get good turnover. I'm gonna do one right quick right here. So if you can see, in one moment I'm upside down, in the next moment I'm back on my feet, and there's a lot of things working together to help that happen. Squeezing tight being one, obvious, you gotta bring everything together, and the other thing is just waiting for the timing. Rushing your round off just makes the lines look different, makes them not function as well. One of the things that you've probably heard a million times in tumbling or in gymnastics is point your toes. And pointing your toes is not just to make it look pretty. Pointing your toes is so that it's aerodynamic, so that it moves through the air quickly. And we can take that dynamic of having your foot be pointed, makes you go faster through the air, and apply it to all of our shapes. If I do a cartwheel like this, all of those shapes are bent lines, which is going to be dragging through the air rather than streamlining and taking me over really quickly. So things to think about. Long lines are going to create the best power over the top, and you got to be stubborn about it. You just got to say, hey, I'm going to do this cartwheel, and my cartwheel is going to have perfectly straight legs. And maybe you need to kick a little stronger for that to happen, but it'll work, and it'll work better than having bent lines. Let's spice it up. Here's the back handspring. Now, a lot of things come together to make that work. It's about lines. It's about supporting your weight through your system. And if you have straight lines, that's great. But if I have a straight line that then has to change direction, all of that power that was coming into my arms is just going to find a weak point. It's all going to go there. So back handspring, where your head's out and your arms have a changing line here, is just going to make things less powerful. You're not going to have that opportunity to block and flick. And having all of your alignment work together is really what makes that happen. So when you hear your coach say, keep your head in, push your arms back, all of those shape changes, that's what it's for. It's not just to be pretty, it's supposed to be streamlined, it's supposed to be efficient going through the air. So we'll break it down like we started. Lunge, lever, we got that switch kick in there that we're ready on. We're going lunge, lever, turn, kick, and switch. Push through your wrists and stand up. Now that starts to evolve where you've got your legs separated for the most part through that. But to get to our next step, which is our round off, we're gonna start having to get our legs together a little sooner. And not right upside down, that's too early. But somewhere on the last half of it, right? Really almost like the last third. Those legs come from flying over the top to pulling together, landing together, so that, getting a little bit into angles here, but depending on what you want to do, whether you want to go long for a back handspring or a whip, as if you're going to go really high for a flight skill, you want your feet in the back. Something just popped up and I don't know what that means. Yo, Allegra GG, what's up? How's it going? Those are two cartwheelers of mine that I helped learn cartwheels. I bet that they're doing some right now, and if you aren't, find a safe spot and practice them because they're good. Okay, so we talked about stretching. We talked about the basics of how we make this happen, and that there's perfect times to do it, and there's times where if you try to put the effort there, it's just not going to return for you. Like in your round off, if you try to block and flick and snap too early, it's just not going to work. You got to wait for the right time. But alongside of timing and practicing your shapes and making sure that the shapes are the right shapes, it's also making sure that you're strong enough to hold that shape, not just for a second, but to hold it for the whole duration of the skill. So everybody knows what a plank is. It's when your elbows are down, you're kind of in a push-up position and you're just holding your core. That's really helpful. And if you are having trouble doing this next thing, then you can just go to regular planks. But the long plank, because we are trying to be strong from our fingers to our toes all the way through our whole body. And one thing we can do to practice that is to get into the longest shape we can. So reaching out really far, hands and feet, and just holding that shape, making sure that your ribs are down, your tail is tucked under, you're trying to be as long as you can, and holding that shape really brings some pressure into your core that you're going to need to have. And just in general, being able to tighten up your whole body all into one shape, super important. And it's basically the science we're working with in tumbling. So shapes, strength, and then knowing when is the right time to make the action happen. All of those things work together to help you tumble right. So long planks, hold it for about 30 seconds. My carpet was sliding around and I didn't feel like I could do it the best for you guys, but 30-second long plank, and then rotate through with, you've probably done these, and if you haven't, this will be fun for the first time, Superman and hollow body. And those are the two shapes that we use a lot. Superman would be an arch shape where your legs are back, you're laying on your stomach, reaching up with your shoulders and back with your legs. And then the hollow body is on your back. Really only the back of your butt should be on the ground and your feet are up and your shoulders are up. You can have arms up or down, but you're holding those shapes to get stronger in those shapes so that we can use them for cool tricks. So what I like to do is I only do about 10 seconds on each one, but I do 3 of each. And so I'm doing 10 in a hollow, 10 in a Superman, 10 hollow, 10 Superman, until I've done them. And it only takes a minute, but it's good for your muscles. So I'm just gonna go ahead and knock that out. I'm gonna start with hollow body. I think you can see me. I can hardly see the phone because I took my glasses off. But holding a hollow body, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. And then I roll onto my stomach. And then hollow again. Woo. 3, 2, 1. So you get the point. Hollows, Supermans, really important, and we use them a lot. The reason that we have to stay so tight in those things is because we're creating the leverage with our body being in one shape. So when we get ourselves to do a round off, we get that awesome turnover effect. That's because everything was working together. And doing drills like that teaches you what it feels like for everything to be working together. So, the handstand. The handstand is our friend. The handstand is the shape that's going to go into every other trick that we do. From our cartwheel to our round off, back handsprings, front handsprings. It's all basically just an advanced handstand, including just a standing back tuck. Standing back tuck is, you might be saying, what? Where is the handstand in that? But if you think about it, the big jump in the beginning, that's all a straight line. That's the same thing we've been working on. Here, I'll do one. So, lines, shapes, strength, drilling those things till it works right, and making sure that you can produce it consistently. Super fun endeavor to get on. Things that you can do for conditioning like this. Another thing is a box jump. When it comes time to do a back handspring, especially if you've been spotted on it for your whole experience doing it, largely you're feeling someone carry you and take you back to your hands. But the real way to do a back handspring is for you to jump, right? And you got to jump really big. It's not a small jump. You want it to work. You want it to be good. It's got to be a big jump. And something you can do, I don't have a perfect box to do it on. I could probably jump this high, but I'm also really high off the ground, so I don't want to jump up there. But box jumps. Getting yourself used to jumping really big, pulling your knees up, that is your system having to work and fire on all cylinders. And find something that's a general height that you're going to be able to succeed doing box jumps on a bunch. And try and do 10. Try and do 10 in a row for sure. Try and do 30, try and do 50. And even if you have something that's not too high, try to jump backwards up onto it, because that's going to be something that helps train what you're doing through your feet. When you're doing your back handsprings, you got to push through your feet and reach in the direction that you want to go. So box jumps will help with that a lot. Another one, handstand against a wall. That is super simple, maybe not at first, but once you get used to this lunge, lever, kick up, and you can even leave that leg out, the safety handstand seesaw kick thing. Kick up, find the wall with one foot, and then put the other one up there. Remember, it's all going to be a lot easier if you're squeezing tight. Kicking up and relaxing lets gravity settle everything in. Doesn't feel as good to hold that once you're up like that. So squeeze tight, reach your arms up, reach your feet in the opposite direction, and hold super tight. Our handstand, like I was saying a second ago, is what's going to take all of our skills on a really easy path, or it's going to make it harder for us because we don't have the right shape. But good news, pretty easy to fix shapes in a handstand. And when you fix those things on a smaller scale, they actually affect everything else in a really, really awesome, fun way. So I'm going to show you 2 different handstands. I bet you can pick which one is the one that you want to do, but I'll show you one first. Here we go. Lunge, lever, and if I kick my feet up and stare at my hands, I have a very arched shape. My legs are going up and over, which you can imagine if I'm trying to tumble in a straight line, but my legs are going up and over, that's going to lead me off the line, and I won't be doing as clean of tumbling as I want to be doing. So keeping your head in, keeping your line straight, finding that balance, which is hard for me to do up here on this deck right now, but you can probably see the difference. Lines, that's what we're playing with. That's what we want to create all that awesome power over the top. And if I have an arch in my back and my head's out, then I'm carrying all of those shapes through my tumbling, which we don't need. So I talk to people a lot, my students, about how to conceptualize tumbling in a way that helps you kind of check things off the list. So as I'm running up to do a round off back handspring back tuck, I'm thinking about all of the things I have to do in sections, because it doesn't help you to worry about the last trick if you're not focused on the first trick. So as I'm going through, I think about it like a gate that I have to pass through. And the only way that I can get through that gate is to be in the right shape. And so the first gate, I'm thinking about my hurdle. Thinking about how I ran up. Now I have to hurdle before I round off. And which direction are we moving in? Let's say it's this way, right? So if I'm running to do my hurdle, my hurdle also needs to be going this way. And I see sometimes you run out and you're excited about the round off that you're gonna do, and so you're like, yeah! Well, that's a really high hurdle. It wasn't really getting you where you needed to go, and it probably took some of your speed away. So we wanna make sure that when we're hurdling, the hurdle is not the trick. The hurdle is what gets you to doing the trick. So we don't need a big emphasis on the hurdle. We need a hurdle to be low and long so that we can have all of that power come out in our tumbling and hopefully be that awesome flight skill at the end. So my first gate that I'm checking through, I'm making sure that my hurdle is low and long and that both of my feet are landing on the same line. Because even if I'm not thinking about it and I do my hurdle with my feet at shoulder width, as soon as I'm going over the last leg that's on the ground, my body aligns over that leg. And so I'm coming off the line, I'm gonna tumble crooked. So, run, first gate, check, boom. Feet in line, low, long hurdle, arms up. The next thing is one of the few moments in your tumbling pass where you can really see. You can really see everything. Nothing's turning over blurry. And it's looking the same way you're going, through your arms, kind of like that lever drill we did here. And you actually get to see where you're going. Let's go back a little bit. So, right there, I can already see. I know where I'm going. I know I'm gonna tumble straight, and that sets you up for your awesome back handspring, so that your back handspring is nice. And so the gates thing that I was talking about, first one's for the hurdle. Next one is to have your head in between your arms like I was just showing you, so that you can see where you're going. From this position, you have a lot of power. You're gonna snap your feet to land in front of you. If you've never done a back handspring, this is news. If you've done a back handspring and you've been coached on it, you've probably been told a million times, get your feet more in front of you, because it really does help a lot getting you to go where you need to go. So from that position where we just had our head through, we were looking where we're going, great snap, and my focus, my next gate that I have to get through is to have my feet in front of me and to have my body laid back, because that's gonna take me in a better line to do what I need to do. And the next time that I'm gonna be going through a gate is for my set skill or my flight skill. And the shape that I need to hit for that is to have my feet behind me, both feet. So round off, focused on the hurdle, focused on looking where I'm going, back handspring, I can see where I'm going, do a great big snap, get my feet in front. Now I'm feeling where I'm going, and the next thing is that I'm snapping feet down behind me really hard and letting this big bounce happen. And so as I rise up, here's another time where you can actually see what's going on. See everybody down there, maybe they're in your class and they're waiting on their turn, or you're just looking down the way, but you get to see right in front of you. Head position is neutral. See everything, boom, for a tug. And that was my example that I was using, is round off, back handspring, back tug. With that in mind, the shapes, the strength, practicing all those things, having that little checklist and thinking about it in a way that kind of breaks it down, makes it feel a little bit less scary, and just has you focus on what you need to focus on for each moment. It really helps me. Hopefully that'll help you too. And having your head still, I'm kind of jumping all over the place, but having your head still on your set for your tuck, when you're going up in the air and you can see what's in front of you, it opens up your ability to do all kinds of other cool stuff. Any trick beyond a tuck is going to need that moment. It's going to need you to be able to see in front of you for you to make stuff happen, like your fulls and your double fulls and all that fun stuff. But yeah, thought I'd bring that to you guys in a way that helps me. Hopefully it helps you. Back to conditioning a little bit. Handstands, like we were saying, are a big part of all this stuff, and so having a strong handstand is really important. Kicking up against a wall is a great way to stay into a handstand for a long time. And as you do that, you can practice with things like shoulder touches, which is slowly shifting your weight all into one arm. You're kind of going to push that shoulder up by your ear and hold, touch, reach, touch, reach, touch. And it just really helps. It's going to make you a stronger athlete in general. It's going to make your handstands better, which makes your cartwheels and roundoffs better, which makes your back handsprings better. Everything is kind of tied in. And it depends on you being tight and squeezing, being strong enough to do those things. And it depends on you practicing your shapes enough to make sure that you're doing those shapes consistently and that you're carrying the right line through your tumbling pass. So, box jumps, huge deal. You got to learn to jump. You got to learn to really jump. Handstand shoulder shrugs. And, instead of just shoulder touches, you can just go from this position down, this position down. Try one right here. Going from a high handstand, low, high, Like I was saying, it's a lot easier to do with a wall because you can stay up for a long time and really get that shoulder mobility going. But that move right there, shoulders going up, when you have your arms on top of it, that's your block right there. So being able to push through those and be strong in your shoulders, super important. I'm seeing stuff pop up on the screen. What do we got? Hello. Nice. It's hot out here, huh? All right. So I haven't been keeping my eye on the clock, but we'll go through a few more things. The long plank is really awesome, especially if you can get it moving. So the long plank is what I was talking about, being the longest shape you can and still holding into that plank, making sure you're keeping your ribs up and your hips under. And from that long shape, you can take a step to the left, take a step to the right, try to walk forward, try to walk backward, and holding onto your shape while moving in all directions like that is really going to get all those stabilizers and side muscles and things going and getting them strong so that you can do other cool stuff. So I'm going to do a little bit of that right now, starting on this side, walk over to this side, walk over to that side, move forward and back, and then I got another one to maybe wrap us up. But yeah. Long plank, and we're going wide, and back in tight. Big step out, big step back in. We're holding that, trying to keep our ribs down, tail under, big steps out, big step back together. All right. One thing I know, if you in your road to getting your back handspring are still in a place where you really need a spot to feel safe, you should be assured that things that you can work on without having to be spotted are going to be working on all of the same things that you need to get done for your round or for your back handspring. And the round off is your go-to trick to be able to work on your back handspring while you're not really working on your back handspring. Things that I was talking about that you might not understand or know the terminology for, a block. Blocking is also just being in a strong shape and landing like a block for a set. But for this purpose, I'm talking about what we're doing with our shoulders. When you push through your shoulders and you flick through your wrists and you pull through your body with both feet at the same time like that, generally we just call that a snap, or we call that turnover. But all those three things really work together to make that happen. The block, the flick, and the snap. And so being tight and doing round-offs with good block, flick, snap, with good turnover is building good habits for your back handspring. Because in the middle of your back handspring, you're doing the same thing that you would do in a round-off, which is just pushing away, blocking, flicking, and snapping. Yes, so you want to get your back handspring, work on your round off. Make sure your round off is getting good turnover. Make sure that you are hitting all those shapes nicely, and film yourself do it. Make sure that you don't have that arch in your back. If you're staring at your hands, that's the big thing, is everybody learns this stuff by watching their hands as they go down. And then as you move into a higher quality of doing it, you're going to learn to change those shapes and do the things that are absolutely efficient and make the trick way better, rather than just those things that made you feel comfortable at first, like, oh, I can see my hands, that makes me feel good. Once you get comfortable with not seeing your hands, you're going to realize your tumbling's gotten a lot better. So something that I am going to kind of wrap up and leave you guys with is a cartwheel drill. Super simple, but what we're doing is we're taking our cartwheel and we're making it slower, a lot slower. We're trying to hold each of these positions that we kind of went over, from lunge to lever to the turn to the switch kick, back to our opposite lunge. We're going to break that down and really try to be in control of every single part of that process. I know for a lot of you guys, it's probably just send your legs fast, and the cartwheel that you do probably has the same speed every time that you do it because you're used to just slinging your legs over the top. Well, while that's good for tumbling, and you got to know how to do that, it's also good for your muscles and for knowing how to do all your shapes, to take it slow and go through each step of the way. So I'm gonna try and do that for you right now as we're wrapping up. Make sure if there was something that you were really dying to hear from me about, that you comment below, put it in there, because we are gonna keep cranking these out, and I will come to you with a live stream that is tailored to what you guys wanna hear. So let me know down in the comments. I'm gonna show you this really quick, which really helps me a lot. Lunge, lever. We gotta make sure that our hand positions are right for doing a cartwheel or a round off, which we call that T hands. It's basically, I learned it, a coach said, park the car in the garage. And when that happens, it really helps your hips turn and for you to land in the opposite lunge. So here we go. My hands are already ready, but I'm basically just kicking the seesaw kick. Lunge, lever, kick. We're gonna turn and step, flick through the wrists. Do it, it's important. So that could have been a little bit easier. It could have been a little bit nicer looking, but you get the point. Holding those shapes, making your body be in control, not just flipping your legs over the top really fast, but holding those shapes and making sure that you're paying attention to each part of the step. Flick through the wrists. Really makes a lot of difference. And if you're having trouble keeping those legs straight on your cartwheels, do a lot of switch kicks and make those lines straight, because it really does make all the difference. I mean, if you took your bicycle, you took every straight line on it and you crumpled it up, that bike would not work very well. So you got to think about it in the same way. Whenever we're doing these tricks, do we want to have a lesser version of it? Do we want to have a piece of the puzzle that's not all there? No, we got to keep those arms straight. We got to keep those legs straight. And I promise, with just a little bit of effort, those long lines are going to make a lot better results for you in your tumbling and in your gymnastics. All right, make sure and comment about stuff that you want to hear me talk about, or any other coaches as we do these live streams. Make sure and wash your hands. I'm about to go wash my hands. It's hot out here. I hope you guys are enjoying the nature in some fashion safely, and spend some time with your fam. Go pet your dog. He misses you all day, and then you're here now for a whole week, 2 weeks. All right, guys, that is it. Thank you so much, all the champions out there, for watching and sticking with it. Practice. Focus on your shapes, and everything gets way easier. I promise. What coaches tell you is gonna make it easier. So try your best, work out at home, and we'll see you next time. Thank you, guys.